What's the luckiest thing that's ever happened to you? Came across a website in early 2010 that said, pay with Bitcoin at the bottom. And I said to myself, WTF is Bitcoin? I googled it, bought a bunch, then sat back. I don't worry about money anymore. I had my car stolen when I was 19. A few months later I was driving my new car from Seattle to Portland at 3 AM, no other traffic around, and my stolen car passed me on my left. I followed the guy for about 120 miles back to Portland. At one point he pulled beside me and waved at me, thinking we were road rally pals. I returned a death stare, followed him home, called the cops, and got my car back. When I think of what had to align for my car to find me again, it blows my mind. Got laid off 2 days before Christmas. I had $10 in my bank account, said fuck it, and bought a 6-pack and a $1 scratch-off ticket. Won $1,200. I was at a mall and heard a woman scream from the upper level. I turned around, looked up, and reflexively caught a toddler who had somehow managed to squeeze between the iron safety rails and fallen literally on top of me, a good 20 to 25 feet below. Perfect catch, not a scratch. I've replayed this in my head dozens of times, and still to this day, do not know how the hell I did this. I called a beer company's question and comment line in hopes of getting a free shirt. They gave me an all expense paid trip to Las Vegas for me and 3 of my friends. Surviving what should have been a fatal car crash. Before that day I never wore my seatbelt. Yes, I was an idiot. I left work that day for some reason. Just out of nowhere, I decided to put it on. About 10 minutes later, somebody blew a stop sign from a side street, and I T-boned them going about 45 to 50 miles per hour. It felt like I hit a brick wall. The car was totaled, and I most likely would not have lived had I not put my seatbelt on. In my freshman year of college, my roommate went to dinner 20 minutes before I did. Because of this, he was sitting alone. He got invited by a girl to sit with their table. When I came along, I was also invited to sit with them. This group later introduced me to the love of my life, who I never would have had any reason to meet otherwise. All because my roommate left for dinner early. One time I put the USB plug on the first try in the dark. A while back, I was unemployed, broke as fuck, and job searching like crazy. I had applied to at least 30 plus places and had some interviews over the course of 5 months, but remained jobless. One night, I decided to walk to the local pizza place instead of get it delivered. My fiancée at the time bought the pizza. Well, on the walk back, I noticed a baby bird laying in the middle of the road. I stopped, stared at it for a moment, before picking it up and setting it under a nearby bush. Next day, I receive a call from one of the places I had recently interviewed at, asking if I could come fill in some paperwork. Sure, yeah, absolutely. Well, it turns out, the hiring manager was with her girlfriend at a bar, having a drink on the patio, and happened to see me save the bird. Earlier in the day, she had been going through all of the potential applicants, and after seeing that, decided to hire me right then. It's been a little over a year now. I no longer have my fiancé, but I still have the same job and I recently got promoted to shift leader. Not only that, but the manager and I have become fairly good friends and she's helped me out in my personal life a lot as well. Not much to be proud of I suppose, but I couldn't have asked for anything better. Luckiest thing that happened to me is that we discovered how sick my wife was before losing both her and my unborn son. Thankfully they pulled him out in an emergency C-section, and he just celebrated his 7th birthday. Mom is doing fantastic now as well, double organ recipient. Gearing up for an epic Christmas vacation in the Caribbean this year. Somebody knocked a glass bottle of Snapple off the shelf, and I had to go clean it up. I looked at the cap, and it was a winner from their prize event. It was for a $500 gift card. When I was about 4 I had an illness, HSP. It started off with some rashes, and then my kidneys shut down. So, you see, when your kidneys shut down, your body can't regulate your water retention, and you end up retaining all the water. so my legs swelled up with water and I couldn't walk. My mom took me to my pediatrician, who was a fraudulent fuckface, and he told my mom I had sprained my ankles, which was why I couldn't walk. She believed him and brought me home. The lucky part is when my dad, who has a doctorate in biology, came home, took one look at me and said, "She's going into shock." I would have died then if my dad wasn't smart enough to figure out what was wrong. Should have sued my pediatrician's ass. I don't know why we didn't. I broke my back and was told I'd have a 3% chance to walk again. I'm still walking. Wasn't me, but my best friend was in a toy store at the outlet mall. He was standing in line waiting to check out when a young boy and his mom cut in front of my friend. Being mature, he didn't say anything and let it go. About 10 seconds later, an old lady drives into the store, hit the wrong pedal by accident, and kills the mom and son who cut in front of my friend. He walked away without a scratch. 2 years ago, I was working as an airman at a Blue Angels show when one of them approached me to let him into the debrief vault. He thanked me and asked if he could do anything for me, probably thinking I would ask for a patch or picture. But I jokingly said to him he could take me up on the next flight. He laughed and said he would get back to me. Thinking that was the end of it, I bumped into the major an hour later and asked if I was ready for the ride of my life. I was pretty shocked, but just like that at the end of the day, me and 2 other guys got to ride shotgun in the Blue Angels F-18s. Best example of right place and right time. Otherwise, from this amazing experience, my luck is usually sleeping. 2 years ago, I worked an 18-hour shift without eating. When I finally left, I went to the grocery store across the street. Asked the bakery girl for bread for sandwich, but she makes me the entire sandwich herself instead. Best ever. Marrying her in 2 weeks. Never would have met her without that long day. Manhattan 1998. Was clearing trash from the curb along 3rd Avenue. Stood upright just in time to not get my head knocked clean off by a bus traveling 40 miles per hour. I can still remember the rush of wind and laughing out loud from shock. The only reason I can do this is because I still have my head. Got arrested a lot for stupid crap like shoplifting when I was 17 to 19. A few years later, I find out about a class action lawsuit against the jail for illegal strip searches. About 6 months later, I got a check for $18,000. A few years ago, I had my credit card number stolen a few days before the card expired. It wasn't a card I used often, and being an irresponsible university student at the time, I wasn't actually opening my statements every month, assuming the balance would stay at 0. As a result, I actually didn't realize what had happened until 5 months later. It turns out that the person who stole my number used the card to place a €500 bet on a football game at 5-to-1 odds. Somehow the team they picked won, turning that €500 into €2,500, which the betting site paid out by crediting back my card. Before they could do anything to get the money, my card expired, stopping whoever stole my number from charging anything else. I didn't have to spend money on food for nearly a year. I was once walking down the street and caught a $20 bill on the floor as it fell from the clear blue sky. I saw something fluttering high above and reached it just as it was at arm's length without breaking my stride. Surviving all the stupid things we did as teenagers is probably the real lucky part, but I still think of that money falling from sky every now and then. Thanks for watching the video. For more content like this, please subscribe, like, and share the video and push the notification button.